Rumors are heating up that Brian Daboll could be giving up play calling and handing it back to Mike Kafka if he does return to the Giants as their OC and doesn't get a head coaching job. On today's video, we're going to try to figure out which one of these guys is the right guy for the job to call plays for Big Blue. First, though, I want to hear from you. I'm calling on all the real ones. Pick a play caller. Who do you want as the real OC of this team next year? Is it Daboll? Is it Kafka? Sound off for me. Welcome into New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate everybody for stopping by as we react to reports coming out from the New York Post that Brian Daboll could be giving up play calling back to Mike Kafka. And here is kind of the timeline of how the play calling has flipped and flopped for the New York Giants since Brian Daboll took over as the head coach. He did in 2022, and Mike Kafka, he was the official play caller for that team, the team that got to the playoffs and won a playoff game against the Minnesota Vikings. Then in 2023 is when it got weird. At first it started with Mike Kafka, then Brian Daboll took it away from him, and then he gave it back, and then he took it away from him again, and then he called plays. Then he gave it to Shea Tierney, then he took it back, and then supposedly he gave it to somebody else, and somebody, I don't know, seems like everybody called plays for the Giants in 2023. And then it was made a big deal in the offseason of 2024 that Brian Daboll said, I'm going to be the play caller. It's my team. I'm going to go down as the guy. Paul Schwartz of the New York Post was the one who wrote this article saying there is strong sentiment inside the Giants building for head coach Brian Daboll to give up the play calling duties. And that sentiment has nothing to do with co-owner John Mara recently mentioning Brian Daboll should at least consider doing that for the 2025 season. Yeah, for sure. That's what happened. We're not talking about Brian Daboll giving up play calling because John Mara pretty much said that he wants him to do that. Yeah, no way, no how, for sure, not giving up play calling because of that. He went on to add that there's a feeling that by handing that responsibility back to offensive coordinator Mike Kafka, Daboll would be in a better position to manage the entire team, sitting in on defensive meetings and expanding his focus to make sure small details do not fall through the cracks. I don't really want Brian Daboll sitting in on defensive meetings. Does Kyle Shanahan sit in on defensive meetings? Does Andy Reid? Does LaFleur? Does Kevin O'Connell? Do the best offensive-minded head coaches sit in on defensive meetings? Yeah, because I'm sure Brian Flores is listening to what Kevin O'Connell has to say about defensive game plans. Mike Kafka says this: we haven't gone down there yet, talking about Daboll giving up the play call back to Kafka. We're still so early before the season starts. We'll address that at some point. So unless he knows, he's keeping it pretty surface level when you speak it to the media at the Senior Bowl. Look, I really just come back to this who should call the plays. Why did you hire Brian Daboll? Why is Brian Daboll the head coach of the New York Football Giants? Because he was able to help Josh Allen get to where he was. Because he was able to have that offense go from one of the worst in the NFL to the best. He was brought here to develop that next quarterback and to raise the floor and the ceiling of your offense. I would say to even fix the offense. So if the head coach you hired can't do that, why is he still here? Look, this is really what it comes down to. I don't think that Brian Daboll impacts winning enough as a CEO of a football team. I think his game management is questionable. I think his clock management is questionable. And I don't think he is the best when it comes to making the best decisions, the most calculated decisions, like going forward on fourth down, going for it for two, and things like that. Look, if Daboll is here, I want him calling the plays. That's why he got this job, because he was the play caller for Buffalo, because he had that offense humming. That's why you hired him, to develop that next quarterback you get and to be able to have this offense perform. And the Giants' offense has not really performed all that well since Brian Daboll has got here. So I understand why you might say that he needs to give it back, but I don't know. Like, what are we going to do? Just keep playing tetherball with the OC between Kafka and Daboll? Look, when the Giants in 2022 were able to have success in the regular season and get to the playoffs, that 2022 team was 15th in points per game. They were 26th in passing yards per game. They were 4th in rushing yards. Then in 2023, when they played tetherball with the play calling, they were 30th in points per game, and then 31st in passing yards per game, and then 16th in rushing yards per game. And this last year, 31st, 28th, and 23rd. So, yeah, not very good after the year that Kafka called the plays. The offense in total under Brian Daboll as the head coach, including the 2022 year, the best year that they were in the red zone was when Kafka was the head coach. Their third down conversion rate, 22nd. Their fourth down rate, 16, and their two-point conversion rate, 16th. Those are the best numbers of any of the stat qualifications of any year. In 2023, they were 31st, 30th, 20th, and then 27th. Then in 2024, they were dead last in red zone TD rate. At least you were able to score in the red zone with Mike Kafka, and you were better on third downs. And I mean, really, it's been terrible all along. I want to talk about what Connor Hughes tweeted out. So I'll just read this because I thought he summarized it pretty well because this is a funny situation. Mike Kafka was the Giants' play caller in 2022, but not running his offense, the one he'd have implemented if given full control of the scheme. He was calling Brian Daboll's offense from Buffalo. Then in 2023, Daboll got mad and yanked the play calling from Kafka, gave it to Shea Tierney, then back to Kafka, then who knows towards the end. Joe Schoen ended up on the coaching headset after multiple complaints over game day operations, which brings us to last year, where Daboll took play calling back for himself. He talked openly about all the different offensive-minded coaches who call their own plays. Kafka was essentially stripped of any actual say in the offense. He also had interviews blocked to go be the play caller for the Seattle Seahawks last offseason, and instead the New York Giants named him like the assistant head coach or whatever. So a slap in the face and a more on a paycheck, but we're actually going to ask you to do less of your job. It comes down to this for me. This is a messy situation. Brian Daboll, you ultimately get to make the call of who should call plays and who should not, but this ship sinks or it floats with you. And I don't think it's going to be the best look if you do give the play calling back and then it fails. It would be just as bad if you kept it and it was bad as well, but that would also show you don't have faith in yourself and all of the decisions you make seem to not ever work out. There's a lot of head coaches in the National Football League who call plays. 13 of them. 13 head coaches will call plays in 2025. Kyle Shanahan, Zach Taylor, Sean Payton, Andy Reid, Shane Steichen, Mike McDaniel, Matt LaFleur, Dave Canales, Sean McVay, Brian Callahan, Kevin O'Connell, Kevin Stefanski, and Brian Schottenheimer, who I believe is going to call plays for Dallas as he just got the upgrade to OC to head coach there. So why can't Brian Daboll call plays? We hired you because you're supposed to be an offensive guru, a QB fixer. I don't want you as a CEO. I can go find a better CEO if I'm looking for that. Look, we're going to break this down all off season long. If a official decision is made between who is going to be the play caller and who is not, we're going to cover that on the channel. So subscribe and turn your notifications on. Coming up next, we'll give you the latest on Mike Kafka and where he stands and then getting the New Orleans Saints head coach job. First, though, I got to give a huge shout out to our proud sponsor, Game Time. You can get last-minute tickets for the best prices, lowest prices guaranteed. Prices actually drop as the events get closer. Look, you get to see your seat view in the app. You get to access your tickets from your phone. It's easy to resell your tickets as well if you decide you don't want to go to the game anymore. If you use our promo code ChatSports, you get $20 off your first purchase where terms do apply. Easy to decide which ticket you want because you get views from the seats inside the app and lowest price guaranteed. That's something that everybody can appreciate. Use that all-in pricing feature. That way the price you see is the price you pay, and that Game Time Picks feature as well is going to make it that much easier to go get the best deal to see your favorite team perform. More than just sporting events, though. You can go to concerts, you can go to theater events, you can go to comedy shows, and so much more. So download the app, create an account, and use that promo code ChatSports. That's CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase where terms do apply. All righty. We talked, I believe, yesterday or 2 days ago. We do so many damn videos on this channel, I can't even remember. Kafka, is he closer to getting this job to be the next head coach for the New Orleans Saints? Well, some big news on that search came in last night, and Mike McCarthy removed himself from the Saints job. Adam Schefter said that it was Mike McCarthy's job to lose, and a lot of people thought that he had the inside track to get this job. He's one of just a couple of people, though, that have turned this job down. McCarthy, he turns it down. Joe Brady, the Bills' offensive coordinator, turns it down. Cliff Kingsbury, the Commanders' offensive coordinator, turned the job down. So that's 3 jobs, 3 people that turned down the job. I'm going to be honest, I think it's the worst head coaching job in the National Football League right now with the way they don't have a franchise quarterback, and they also are capped out for like the next 2 years. Joe Schoen actually spoke about Kafka maybe leaving for the Saints job at the Senior Bowl and said, selfishly, I hope he doesn't get the Saints job. But if he does, he's well deserving. Fortunate to have him on our staff. Adam Schefter said this about the interview. Anthony Weaver, the defensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins, had what I was told a pretty impressive interview this past weekend, as did Mike Kafka. At the time of filming this, we know of only 2 people that have had 2 interviews with the Saints. That's Anthony Weaver and Mike Kafka. But Mike Garafolo, late last night, said that pretty much it is going to be Kellen Moore's job to lose. So, yeah, the Eagles' offensive coordinator remains the most likely head coach in New Orleans, but nothing is certain yet. Still some time to go on that. So, look, as we know, the Giants would get not 1 but 2 third-round picks via compensatory picks from the National Football League if Kafka does leave due to the Rooney Rule and him being a minority candidate. His grandmother is part Puerto Rican. Let's hope that the Eagles get shut out and Kellen Moore has a terrible showing, right? And then the Saints say, you know what, maybe we don't hire Kellen Moore. He can't get it done on the big stage. I don't know. I'm coping. I'm just coping and hoping. Kafka says this. Listen, at the Senior Bowl, I'm happy to be back with the Giants. I love Dabes. I love working for the organization. The Mara, Tisch family, Joe and his staff, they're all down here. We'll probably get to a dinner at some point. Yeah, I love working for the people that demoted me and then promoted me and then demoted me and then demoted me even more, but then gave me a title change and a raise for me to actually all do less at my job, all while not letting me go get a better job out there. Yeah, I'm sure I would love Dave's too. Look, I like Kafka on the staff. I think that he has a great coaching background. Came up with the Kansas City Chiefs. He's learned from Andy Reid. He played quarterback in the National Football League. And because of that, I think it would be nice to have him on the staff here. If you draft a Shedeur Sanders, you draft a Cam Ward, and you're looking to develop a young quarterback. Have a guy that played in the NFL, that went through an entire career, learned from Andy Reid, the best offensive mind, in my opinion, in NFL history. And that's pretty cool. Does it happen? Does he get that job? I'm going to say it's probably less likely now than I initially thought maybe 6 or 7 days ago. But I'd be cool if he's back. But I do think Brian Daboll should call the plays, and he should use Kafka as someone that he can lean on. Make sure you are following me on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on IG @MarshallGreen_.